Let's study how to escape the bear hug, front bear hug underneath the arms. Okay? Okay, so let's say someone gets you on the bear hug. His goal is to lock your hip on his hip, and now you're completely off balance. You will immediately go over his arms and hold your fingers together. And you use your hands almost like a punch on his belt level. At the same time, you squat down and move your hips back. Try to pull my hip. That makes it very hard. There's a lot of pressure going down on his elbows as I kind of extend my arms to punch his belt. That should give me enough time to pummeling in, going to the over-under clinch. Watch. He's still holding his grip, but now we're even because I am over at one side, I am under at the other side. That's how we call it, the over-under clinch. I don't have too much room. He keeps holding his grip. I need to deal with the space I have, push him up, step in, little by little, reach this safe clinch. No headbutts, my head is on his chest. No punches, I'm controlling his arm. No knee strikes. The only thing he can use is his lefty hand for a headlock. When he's coming, I will squat down, step back. He just gave me his back. So I'm here controlling the safe clinch. Remember, we will not use the uniform. I'm controlling his elbow joint. I am also locking his arm with my triceps here on my armpit. Now let's go for the hip throw. One, toes pointing to the direction. You want to flip him. Give yourself some space. Move away and be fast. Second step in. Your hip is underneath his belt level. You need to make that catch. Because when you bump him up, you're not relying on strength. And then when you look over your shoulder and rotate the upper body, you should have him down. Pull his arm up. That helps him breaking his fall. Watch. My arm is trapping his wrist, plus my grip on his elbow joint. So this arm is neutralizing. Knee on the belly, comes in. Grip on the neck. It's actually my shin on his belly. If you want extra pressure, take your toes off the mat. Okay? Grip on the neck, controlling the arm. He might try a punch or two. He does not really have it. Let's go for the submission. Right hand on the shoulder, pushing down. Lefty hand releases the elbow and grabs my own wrist. I must lock my elbows. When it's time to finish, I don't want to muscle with my arms. I will push in with my hips and I arch my back. Watch. That's so much pressure on his elbow joint. He comes in for the bear hug, quickly. Hands together and push him. Squat down and move your hips back. You can actually go on either sides, but you will find more space if you go to the opposite side of your head. Watch. I'm looking to the left. That's why I'm using my right hand. And now we have the over-under. I keep circling, pushing him up. Safe clinch, pulling the hip in. No knee strikes for him or anything. Now I go 1, 2. With my hip, I catch. If you're having trouble with your hip, move your heels outside. Your hip should follow. Underneath the belt level, bump him up. Looking over the shoulder, rotate the upper body. Keep a good control of the arm and posture up. He breaks his fall, fine. Grip on the neck, in the belly. I am ready for the submission here. Tight control on the arm. From the neck, I go to the shoulder. From the elbow, I go to my own wrist and I lock my elbows. It's not my arms muscling. Remember, bring your whole body into the techniques, always. So hips forward and arching my back. It adds a lot of pressure. Let's study the headlock escape on the ground, number 1. Okay. If you find yourself on the headlock position on the ground, the first thing you want to accomplish is to hide this elbow and turn on your side. 2 reasons why you're doing that. 1, if he controls your triceps, he gets a much better control. If you look to the ceiling, he might choke you because you are showing your arteries. You need to turn on your side, protect your arteries on your neck, hide your elbow so he does not have that much control. On the headlock, you must watch his position. That will tell you which escape to use. At this time, he's keeping his head up. I'll take advantage of that. Right forearm underneath his jaw. Then this hand in between his arms. And I hold my own wrist. If I am able to build that frame, he's not dropping his head down. I don't have my wrist on his jaw. It's all the way deep, holding my wrist here. If I need, I even post my lefty elbow. Try to drop your head. No way. Now it's time to get his head with my legs. I might not be that flexible. So, 1, I push. 2, I raise my hip a little bit and I walk away from him. Note that I did not escape my hip. Okay? I might be on a concrete floor. So I raised my hip and I walked away from him. Just then, I open my feet and I come with my legs. The goal is to have my leg on his neck if I can. After I made that hook, he's still holding. Let's say he's super strong. I have to go here, close to the grip, and push. I should be able to break his grip. Then I push him away with my legs and I turn on my side. I cross my feet as a scissor on his neck, and I will quickly wrap his arm. Watch. I arch, and I push his wrist underneath my armpit. I have 2 submissions going on. 1 is a choke. If he's looking to the ceiling, when I squeeze with my legs, I should have a choke. If not, when I grab his biceps and I drop my right elbow towards the floor, I should have an arm bar on his elbow joint. Okay, one more time. You are on your side, hiding the elbow. You did block his head. You did have your grip in between his arms and you're pushing his head up. Raising your hip, walking away from him, and bringing your leg. But this time, you have the hook, but he's super strong. You can't break his grip. That's okay. The other option you have is to make a pendulum with your leg and get the top. Controlling the side mount position. One more time on that one. Watch my legs. Pay pendulum. Keep pushing. And then when you sit up, you take your leg out. Control your side mount position. Remember to post your hands. I say that because the first thing he will try is to flip you over and get the top. So make sure to end here with your hands posted, your hips heavy on your heels. Let's study how to control the side mount position and work on our transition to the mount. Okay? Side mount control is when you have that dominant position here, chest to chest, cross-side with your partner. Okay, from here we will do 2 different ways to control. Defende a montada. That will be one. That will be 2. When we hold the side mount here, on the first one, we'll be trying to avoid that the person on the bottom recover the guard. Watch. I have chest to chest. I'll hook his shoulder and block the legs. My right hand is stopping him from entre o joelho e por baixo. Pushing me back on his close guard. Now we are in an even position. I am starting on a dominant position, so I want to keep it. My left elbow close to the head, hook on the shoulder, grip on his back. Right hand pulsing on the mats, my knees are off the floor. So if he tries to recover the guard, he cannot do this. I'm blocking his knee. The reason why he's figuring 4 is to block my transition to the mount position. Here is how to get the mount. Shift your hips. You see my left knee is touching his belt, and I am making sure my right foot is posting so I have balance. Now I'll lean forward a little bit, making sure I don't fall back as I mount. My right hand that was posting will go on his knee. I'll grab the pants and push down. Quickly, I'll step over. As soon as I step over, I post, always leaning forward that way. And I'll have my both knees on the mats. And then I'll post my hands. I raise my knees to the height of his armpits, and I post here for balance. The second side mount control in the second technique is when we have chest to chest, and we want to avoid. Another very common escape is when the person on the bottom swims under and turns on his force. Here he would try a double leg or something like that. That's why this time I chose to have my left arm underneath his neck. Not this way because his head might be on the mat, but this way, behind the neck. There's always a space. The other arm underneath his elbow, hands together, shoulder on his jaw, head down. That gives me a very solid side mount control, but now let's work on how to mount. He's figuring 4. He has his knee on my ribs. He's trying to block my mount position. See the way I brought my knee on his belly? That will be the first step to accomplish the mount position when you have one arm behind the neck, the other one underneath the elbow. Hands together, side mount control. So I am on my toes, I raise my hips, knee in the belly. As soon as I have my knee on his belly, I want to post. He might try to use this hand, vai com a mão no meu joelho, to push. That's when I open my elbow. I will not allow him to block the mount position. And my right knee will go towards his armpit now. Then I open my foot. Then I post, and then I have the mount position. So let's learn those two techniques. Number one, chest to chest. I want to avoid that he brings me back on his legs. I post. I control his shoulder. I shift my legs. I push his knee down. I mount post, knees on his armpit. Good and solid mount position. Second technique. I want to avoid that he turns on his knees. My hand behind his neck. The other hand underneath his elbow. Hands together. Shoulder on his jaw. I'll raise my hip, knee in the belly. He wants to push my knee back. Open my elbow, post for balance. My right knee on his armpit. More balance. Open my foot. Should have a good and solid mount position. Let's study the standing guillotine attack and the standing guillotine escape. Okay? So, I'll mimic the punch. He comes in for the double leg. That's the guillotine choke. Okay? So, let's say I am throwing a strike here. He will dodge my punch and come in for the double leg. My first reaction is to squat down and move back. That should give me enough balance and time to wrap his neck. Whatever side you see his head, you wrap his neck. After that, at the other side, you come in front of his shoulder and hold your own wrist. Just like that. Then you lock your elbows on your ribs. And you start pulling your wrist up. Okay? Watch, a few more details. Shoots for the double. Squat down and back. Wrap his neck and hold my own wrist. Lock my elbows on my ribs. You don't want to apply this choke just with your arms' strength. Watch the way I move my hips into the choke. And look how I arch my back. That gives me so much extra power. We will see now what to do if someone tries that choke against us. So this time my partner will mimic the punch. And I am the one shooting in for a double leg or a body lock takedown. So I'll stop right here. He'll wrap my neck. Okay, so here's what we should do. Aperta aí. Step number one is relieving the pressure. So, avoid his strike and shoot, he grabs my neck. As soon as I see the choke there, I pull his wrist down against my chest and I tuck my chin. He will put more pressure. He might have it. That's because I need one more step. That hook on his shoulder. It's not so much my hand on his back, but it's the hook my arm makes on his shoulder. So now when he puts pressure, you see, even if he gets me off the mat, I don't really feel the choke. Go one more time. Watch. I don't really feel the choke. When he needs to rest his arm for a little bit, I step behind his knee for the takedown. Block his knee and I drive. Make sure to post your hands and step back. Don't fall on top of your partner when practicing that technique. You drive, post. And then you go chest to chest, my right hand is behind his neck. My left hand immediately goes back to his wrist. He's still squeezing and holding. I raise my hip and I drive my shoulder really heavy on his neck. Heavy, heavy, until he wants to defend his own neck. That's when I go chest to chest, underneath his elbow, hands together, shoulder on his jaw, and I establish the side mount control. One more time. My partner will mimic the punch. I will avoid his strike. Shoot in, he'll wrap my neck. One grip on his wrist, pulling down. Tuck my chin and hook on his shoulder. Watch the hook. Now he tries the choke. I don't really feel it. Time for the takedown. Make sure to walk to the opposite side of your head. If you miss that important step, you might hit your head on the ground. Watch. That would be wrong. Opposite side of my head, I block his knee and I drive. Now I will step back and post my hands. Now, right arm behind his neck, left hand on his wrist. I will stay on my toes and hips high so I can drive a lot of weight on my right shoulder. Now he feels the pressure and he wants to protect his neck. I'll be patient until he wants to protect his own neck. He had to release mine. Underneath the elbow, cup my hands, shoulder on his jaw, chest to chest. Let's study the headlock escape on the ground, number 2. Let's say you find yourself on the headlock position, but at this time the person on top is holding your neck and also dropping his head down. So you did not have the chance to push his head up. Okay, he's blocking. You will have to get his back. Okay? When you find yourself on the headlock position here, working on your escapes, the first step is to hide this arm and turn on your side. That's because if you allow the person on top to grab your triceps, he has a much better control. If you look to the ceiling, you might get the choke because you're exposing your arteries. So always, real quick, you want to do this. And now you will watch, observe his position to decide which escape to use. I cannot push his head up, so I want to try to put my hook. You see my right leg inside, my right foot inside his leg. That's what we call a hook. From that point on, my right hand is trying to touch the mats. To do so, I start coming up to my knees. Post, post, post. Now I have a lot of weight on top of him. I don't muscle with my neck. This hand will just pull back his wrist. That should be enough to clear his grip and to clear my head off. So when you are upside down there, don't muscle with your neck. Just keep your balance. Pull back his wrist. It should break his grip. Once you're here, put weight on him. Control his upper body and push his wrist up. Okay, one more time. Deixa eu virar assim lá. Watch my left leg. The way I move my left leg really helps me to come up to my knees. Watch. When I post that leg up, I put all my weight on top of him. You see his grip's about to break. With this hand, I pull back. Then I clear my head off. With the weight on him, controlling his upper body, I push up his wrist. Let's study now the side mount position from the bottom. We will see how to recover our close guard from there. Okay, so we'll start here. And from here we will go for full guard. The first thing to learn here is where to place your hands. We will do the knife underneath his neck and the seashell underneath his hip. That's a good way for you to remember. Okay, so look, he comes in, he's controlling your neck, he has chest to chest real heavy. You don't want to be pushing his chest or upper body, just the knife, hiding your arm underneath his neck. The other side, just hiding your arm underneath the hip and the seashell. That will be your first position to learn at the side mount, okay? With your legs, you will figure four and touch his ribs with your knee. That's to prevent the mount position, okay? From here, we will go ahead and recover the full guard. So watch. I want to bring my right leg underneath his body, but I don't have enough room. My knee is touching his knee. I need hip escape. I post my left leg and escape my hip. After I have escaped my hip, my right knee found enough room. Watch. When my right knee touches my right elbow, I push his leg with my right knee. And the left foot should be able to catch half guard. Once my left knee catches his leg, the seashell will go from the hip to the knee. And if I can, I even start using my hand on his knee. Now I should start being able to posture up. If I do posture up, my right leg will slide through easily. And when I square up with him, I should have no problem locking my legs. Okay, keep in mind that the portion on top might be real heavy, so he will hold a real strong hug here. He will throw a lot of weight on you, so your arms will not fight against any of that. You're just making yourself safe at first with the seashell and the knife. You're also figuring four. The first opportunity you have, you just want to find the space underneath his legs. His legs are not as heavy as his upper body. I am just fighting against his legs, no matter how strong or how heavy he is here. All I want is to catch my half guard with my left foot. Watch. Now all I want is to have my elbow against his knee again. So slowly I can posture up and bring my right knee underneath. When I square up, my right foot pops out. And I have close guard. And I should be safe here. Let's study some basic strikes and the body lock clinch and the body lock takedown. Okay? my partner will just stand here with his feet parallel and post his hands so I can practice. The first step is learning how to prepare your ready stance. Okay, you pick your strong leg and you make a half step to the side and a half step back. And you keep your feet always at the same distance. If you move back, you adjust. If you move forward, you adjust. If you move to the sides, you adjust your stance. Okay, and then you turn your upper body sideways a little bit. With the back hand, you cover. With the leading hand, you cover, but you will also be measuring the distance sometimes. That's because the Jiu-Jitsu strategy here is not to exchange strikes with anybody, so I don't want to be at the distance that he can punch and or kick. So I want to make a little step back, posture up a bit more, keeping my back straight, and with this hand, I make sure that I am always at the distance I want to be. So if I feel like I am at the distance of the striker, I will either step back or step in for the clinch. Okay, so that's your ready stance to apply the Jiu-Jitsu strategy standing up here. Okay, so after that, we'll practice some basic strikes with our hands. So with the leading hand, we throw one, then with the back hand, we throw two. Okay, so tuck your chin, cover, lock your hands. When you go for the punch, you make sure to turn your upper body, turn your hips so you gain more power. Okay? At the other side, same thing. Put your hip, put your upper body behind the punch so you gain more power. Our strikes here will be almost always on a straight line. We want to strike just enough to set up our clinch and take the fight to the ground. Same strategy for our kicks. One of the kicks we use the most standing up is the push kick with the leading leg. That's not so much to knock him out, but it will be most times either to set up my clinch or to create distance between us. So if I feel like now he's at the distance of the striker, I can anytime push kick and push him away. Note that when I kick, I bring my leg back. You will not want to kick and leave your leg there so they can kick your leg. Okay, so the first drill is preparing my ready stance. 1, 2, measuring distance, push kick. Once you get that, you start working on your clinch and body lock takedown. So to go inside for the clinch, you want to change levels. You squat down with your hips, keep your back straight, keep your eye on him. That's very important. Okay, and then with the leading hand, you make a shield, keep your eye on him. Continue covering here until you're that close. Just then, you lock his hips. For now, you can just use fingers together, lock your elbows. Okay, that grip will work fine. To get him off balance, I'll start pulling his hip and driving my head forward. Note that my head is up, my ear is on his chest. The opposite is to looking down and having your head here. You're giving chances for them to grab your neck. It's right here. He's off balance. That might not be enough to throw him. I need to get some work done with my legs. Let's go for the inside trip. 1, 2, I get that deep. My hip is on his hip, and then I will make the trip. It's a hook with my leg. And this time I am pulling his weight down and driving forward. Note that I post, don't want to land on top of my partner's chest. I recover my balance on my knees, and I posture up. Knees wide spread for balance, posturing up so I can defend my neck and my arms if he attacks. Okay? One more time. I have my partner with feet parallel, hands up, preparing my ready stance. My strong leg steps back, covering, measuring his distance. 1, 2, strikes on the straight line. Leading leg, push kick. 1, 2, measuring distance. When I drop, I keep my shield here. I keep my eye on him. The leading leg will step in between his legs and lock his hip. I start pulling his hip in and driving forward. He is off balance, but I will make 1, 2, step deeper for the hook. Okay, at that point, start pulling his weight down. As you drive forward, post, posture up right away, spread your knees for balance, and keep your head up and arch your back. Let's study the headlock on the ground escape number 3. Okay. Let's say from standing up here, I am working my way into the clinch, but I make a mistake. I give him enough time to turn, grab my neck, throw him down. And then I'll find myself at the headlock situation here on the ground. For that escape, let's say he will even manage controlling my arm, which makes my escape even harder. Okay? So here's what I will need to do. Try to pull my arm out, does not happen. Joga peso no meu peito. Okay? On the fundamentals program, we learn 3 different headlock escapes on the ground. It's his position on top that tells us which escape to use. Okay? So this time, he's controlling my arm. He's not giving me space for the hook. His head is down. That tells me to go to escape number 3. Okay? The first thing is, I try to pull my arm out. Since I could not, I'll just hold my hands together. Fingers together here, and I'll hug him close to me. My first attempt is to bridge, bumping my hips up, and pushing him this way. I'm hoping that he posts. That's primeiro, eu vou te jogar, tu apoia a mão. If he posts, he cannot hold my arms anymore. That would be a great opportunity to hide my arm inside. And then I could try something else. But, let's say, seu pé esquerdo, bota lá para cima. Estica sua perna esquerda. Lá para cima mesmo. Let's say now I try to bump. Well, he's keeping good balance on his feet. So he did not need to post. My arm is still trapped. I will bump harder, provoking his reaction. He starts pulling up my arm and pushing weight on my chest. That's the opportunity for the escape. That escape is very technical. In order not to muscle with your hands, you must place your hips close to his hips, and you must bridge this way. Just after you get his hips off the mats, you start moving your upper body to the direction you want to throw him. Okay? So watch. Watch how I'll use my hips at first. And just then I turn my upper body and I start using my arms to finish the escape. Posting, just so he does not try to flip you that way. And stop right here. Okay, so one more time. If you are on the ground, headlock situation, these arms are stuck, hold your hands together. Bump forward, hoping that he posts. If he does not, he will pull your arm harder and he will drive weight on your chest to get the control of this situation. That's when you place your hips underneath his and bump up. If you place your hips proper and you make the bridge, you should not need to muscle with your hands. Let's study now the spinning armbar from side mount. Let's say I am controlling the side mount position here, and he makes the mistake of opening this arm a bit too much. That's my opportunity to work the spinning armbar. Okay, so when you are on the bottom in the side mount situation, you should always hide your arms underneath the person on top. Let's say this time you are on top, the person on the bottom opens a bit too much this arm. Okay, so estica as pernas. I am here chest to chest, my knees are off the mat, just heavy on top of him. He's opening the arm, I will wrap the arm, hold my own collar. You might need to feed the collar here, that's okay. Now it's time to go to the north-south position. This hand is important to post. The reason why, apoia os pés lá no chão de novo. Quando eu for para a cabeça, você me acompanha. The reason why is, he's trying to follow me as I go to the north-south. When I post, I stop his hip. Then I can reach the north-south position. Okay? Volta para lá, time. Estica as pernas. Here, as soon as you reach the north-south position, use the right hand that was posting to block his hip, to block his biceps. The reason why is, he will try to hold his hands. If he does hold his hands, you will have trouble posturing up. Once you posture up, you are really setting up the submission here. I am just one step away from the submission. My elbow is working, putting pressure towards my chest. My head is locking his wrist, and I keep my grip on the collar. So he should not be able to pull this arm down now. Have a tight lock. The next step is to stand up your leg, and the same side of this arm, you are working the submission. And then you drive your knee on his ribs. You see he's turning on his side. That's because it's a tight lock I have here. His elbow joint is trapped. So when I turn my upper body, he turns with me. I'm blocking the biceps, knee on his ribs. Just then, I stand up the other leg. That's the best way for you to work the spinning armbar without giving him space to escape. Okay? Anda pra lá um pouquinho. Watch, just then, I stand up my right leg. Even better if you don't step with this foot. It's even tighter. Knees together, controlling the wrist, making sure his thumb is up, and then I lay for the submission. One more time. I have side mount control, chest to chest, knees off the mat. He's opening the arm. I hold my own collar, blocking his hip. Knees off the mats, north-south. As soon as I reach north-south, posturing up and controlling his biceps. Keeping tight lock on his arm, I step up, and then I drive my knee on his ribs. Just then, I stand up my second leg, and one last detail, when I fall, I try to fall as close to his legs as I can. If you fall towards the head, you might be helping him to escape. let's study the bear hug escape over the arms, okay? When the attack comes from behind, see, that's the bear hug, it's over my arms. So, first thing is good balance for a quick reaction, then we go. Okay? So, the first thing here is good balance, so feet parallel, squat down a little bit so you can react. Now, you should not fight against his grips. He's holding very strong. All you need is to bend your arms a little bit. You're just doing that in order to free your hips. Once your hips can move, you can create enough room to step behind him. Readjust your feet. You see my feet's parallel by now? He keeps holding, he's squeezing, no problem. I'll go for the takedown. Without holding the pants, my grip's just going behind his knee, that's enough. The key for this takedown is to have my hips on the proper position. If I bring my hips into the proper position, I should not feel his weight at all. You see? His weight is all on my hips. It's not on my back, it's not on my arms. My legs and my hips are carrying him. Good balance, bend my arms. I can move my hips. If I move my hips to the left, I always step behind him with my right foot. Readjust your feet. You want to have your feet parallel. He's squeezing, holding is strong. Let's go for the takedown. Controlling the leg. Don't grab on the uniform. Hips forward. That's how you should be able to carry someone that is even heavier than you. And one more detail. When you pull him on your hips, you rotate your upper body. With that rotation, you get his weight to go on your hips, right where you want it. And put him back. You should not finish that throw until you're very confident on your escape and making sure you have a partner that really knows how to break his fall. Okay, so now, once more, let's finish the throw all the way to the ground. Note that I rotate my upper body. Now when I throw, I don't move, okay? Because I don't want to go with him. I'll just face him at the other side. He will be right here. He's probably now facing me to escape me in the belly. Good posture, hips forward. It's actually my shin on his belly. If I take my toes off the mats and much heavier on him, that leg is up here for balance. Now with my hands, pushing the neck, pushing his wrist, just to keep his back flat on the mats. He should not be able to escape from here, okay? Let's study the side mount escape to the turtle position. That escape is to be used whenever you find yourself at the side mount situation here, and the person on top is blocking your leg from sliding underneath his body. I was hoping to slide my leg underneath to put him back on my guard, but he is blocking. Now it's time to go for the second escape. And we'll stop right here for now. Okay. Before you start with the escape, protect your arms and block his transition to the mount. Watch. This arm underneath. We like to call that the seashell, just so the students remember. The other one underneath his neck, we like to call that the knife. Underneath the neck. The main thing is that I hide my elbows. And I am also using my elbows to push him a little bit here, a little bit there. With my legs, figuring 4. See, my right knee touches him, and I figure 4. I block the mount. So that's how you should start your escapes when you are in the side mount situation. Okay? So now I try to slide my right leg down to go underneath, but he's blocking with his hand. It's time to get the knife and swim underneath his body. There's an important detail to do it. Watch. If you don't know how to do it and you open your hand, he will grab you in a submission called the key lock. Good American. And you might tap. The detail here is bump. When you drop your hips, there will be a little gap between you and him. Okay? You bump, push up with your elbow. When you drop your hips, watch. You swim with no risk for the key lock. Once you swim underneath, you need a lot of hip escape. Then, as more as you can. You want to move away from him. At that point, as I am escaping my hip, my right elbow is pushing his hip down. My left arm is pushing him up. I don't want to muscle too much with my arms. All I want is to escape my hip and slide underneath him. If you grab something and start to push, you will start muscling. So make sure just to slide. That hand is traveling to grab behind his knee. That one, I'll just use as a post to help myself turning to the turtle position. So, once here, very important, watch. This arm that was pushing the hip is now underneath my own upper body. My lefty elbow is underneath my upper body. So after I turn my legs, it will easily pulse here. You see, no matter how heavy he is, I'm not really feeling his weight. Because my knees and this elbow here are offering me a very solid turtle position. Okay? Fica ajoelhado aí. So watch. From here, you bump, swim under. Then you start escaping your hip. That arm is what I want to show you. It goes underneath my upper body. Just then, I turn my legs, and then my elbows right here to post. The person on top might be really heavy, so you need to come up with your hips first. And then your elbows right there. You should have a very solid turtle position here. You should have no problem turning with a heavier person than you. Okay, so one more time. The knife and the seashell, figuring four on my legs. I try sliding my knee under, but he's blocking. That's when I bump, and I swim underneath. Note that my lefty hand's not grabbing on anything. It's just driving him up as I push his hip away. And I am good here no matter how heavy he is. Let's study the double leg from the turtle position. Okay? Let's say you have the turtle position here. You're posting both elbows. From here, you want to go for the double leg. Let's say one hand starts reaching for the knee. If my head is on the right side, the hand that will reach is at the opposite side. Always like that. I still have the balance because I am posting the other elbow and my knees are underneath myself, so I'm good. From here we go. And we control the side mount position now. If you don't prepare a good turtle position, meaning that your knees and your elbows should be closed. If you don't prepare the turtle position well, it makes it very hard to carry your weight. Watch. I am here with a strong turtle position, but if one of my knees is off place, or maybe my elbow. Now he starts being too heavy. So the first step is having a solid turtle position so you can carry your weight. You will not want your head to be stuck underneath him. So your head is outside. And now we need to use what we call the elevator, which is that next step here. Just then you reach to the legs. You see the left knee here is what we call the elevator. Once my left knee advances forward, you see I can even raise my upper body here. That's the elevator pushing me up. Then my hand will go for his leg. I need balance here. You see he's pushing all his weight. He's on his toes, no problem. I don't really feel it because my legs are in place. Just then I reach. It would be a mistake to keep running forward. We need to do what we call cutting the corner. Não cai ainda não, Tati. I reach for the double. Using the elevator, my hips comes up and I step. That's when I cut the corner. Watch. Now, that's what we call cutting the corner. When you're here, and instead of running forward, you step, and now you turn this way. You pull that leg up, the other one you just cut here with your hand, and you drive. It's not my arms muscling so much. That leg here pushing gives me so much power together with my shoulder and my head. After the throw, I post my hand. I make sure not to land on my partner right away. Then after that, chest to chest, heavy on him, knees off the mats. Now I can hug the shoulder, just like he was doing when he had the top, and posting here to block his legs. Let's study the ready stance and the head cover punch block. Okay, so I'll be here on my ready stance with my partner, and then he will throw the hook. I will use the head cover punch block from here to the safe clinch and take the fight to the ground. So to prepare your ready stance, you pick your strong leg, half step to the side, half step back. With your back hand, you cover. The leading hand, you cover, but you also measure the distance. You don't want to stay on the striker range. Okay, and this time, let's say he just runs forward into you and throw a wide punch here. Okay, so when you see the punch coming, you will just use the head cover punch block. See, I just grab behind my head, close my elbow here. Watch. Don't use your arm to block the punch. That's not the idea. You will just raise your arm here. The reason why you also close your elbow is because you want to prevent, let's say you thought it was a wide punch, but actually it's throwing a straight one. You might be safe even with the same block, but if you open your elbow, you might get caught. Okay, so I am here, my ready stance, the punch comes, I protect myself here. At the other side, I did not drop my hand. I'm still covering my jaw. Okay, now let's work our way to the safe clinch. So I'll wrap his arm. I was blocking, my elbow goes above his arm and wrap. The first catch is with my armpit on his wrist. Watch, can even drag him. So that's a pretty tight grip. The second one is behind his elbow joint. Note, I'm not holding the uniform. For self-defense, we'll work on his body. Okay, so after that, The other side, I am protected. I'll just drop this hand. After I get close to him, my head is safe. Then I go for the hip. From the hip to the safe clinch. Safe clinch is when I step sideways with him. We call it the safe clinch because we are controlling the arm, no punch. My head is on his chest, no headbutt. I'm pulling his hip in, no knee strikes or kicks. The only thing he can try is to use the right arm. You see the one behind my back? But as he's going, I can always spot down and get his back. Safe clinch. From here to the hip throw. One, the first step, my toes pointing to the direction I want to flip him. The next step is quick. I open some space and step right in with my second foot. The catch is done with my hip underneath his bell level, and I bump him up. If you place your hips right, you should not feel his weight. Keep your grips. Rotate your upper body. See, I look over my right shoulder. I'm pulling up his arm, helping my partner to break his fall. After that, knee in the belly to control him on the ground. Actually, it's my shin on his belly. Good posture, hips forward. Good balance here, that's why my legs are standing up. Pushing his neck, so his back is flat, making it very hard for him to escape. Pushing this wrist away. One more time. Let's say this time, the punch comes with the other hand. No problem. I am here, measuring the distance. He throws a wide punch. It would be the same thing. Watch. Block. Then I will wrap his arm, get closer to him, because once my face is safe here, I can drop my hand to his hip. Okay, from here to the safe clinch. Note how I am controlling his hip. It will change. One, now watch. My right hand, from here, it will slide a little bit. That gives me enough space to place my hip for the hip throw. See, my right hand is not that deep now. Hips will catch. Watch that. You should not use your legs for the throw. You need to move your hip. See, half of my hip is outside. I turn my heels so my hip follows. Bumping him up. In the belly right away. Let's study the side mount escape using the back door. Okay, let's say my partner is controlling the side mount. He's heavy here. I'm kind of stuck. I have the option of grabbing his knee and setting him up. Watch. I'll bait him. I want him to go ahead and mount. Okay. Look at this guy. I am inside mount, protecting my arms, elbow underneath him, seashell. My elbow underneath the knife. Figuring 4 on my legs, my right knee is touching his body, that makes hard for him to mount. I am stuck here and I want to set him up. Actually, I want him to try mounting just so I can escape. So my right hand will grab his pants. And then I will lay down my right leg. When he sees it, most times he tries to mount. Right after he mounts, that leg here gets really light. See, I am pulsing my left leg. That helps me bumping up a little bit, moving my hips a little bit, and that should be enough to slide my right knee underneath. Once I did it, I hook his leg and I move my hip. I already have half guard. But if he's controlling my shoulder, that makes it really easy to climb his back. Watch. My head stays close to the arm, and my right hand, I pull him close to me. That will cause trouble for him to pull this arm back. Try to pull your arm back. He can't. I follow him. My hand is tight on the triceps. The left hand will be just to help me climbing his back. So I'm going to pull my left arm out and post my elbow. You see, now I don't need my head on his triceps anymore because I am posting my elbow, and I keep working on climbing his back. The next step is to pull out my left leg, posting my hand, posting my knee. He will for sure go for the turtle position. As he's going for the turtle position, I have a good chance to place in my second hook. The reason why I'm trying to have my hooks, I mean my feet, inside his legs, is that because this is the best way to secure attacks from the back. Hooks in, now I'll start using my hands. That one is for balance. That one goes underneath everything, controls his lapel. Watch. Just so now I can throw him to the side. Keeping my chest on his back is a good way to make sure he's not escaping. The hooks are very important, and now I can go for the choke. That hand over the shoulder, don't open too much, makes it easy for him to block. Go inside here. Thumb inside deep. If you need, open the collar and feed. But that hand at the end must be at the other collar. That is because my right hand is pulling down to adjust as my left arm is choking. Watch my lefty elbow. I pull back and I separate my chest from his back. I arch my back as I extend my arms. That should give me a very powerful choke. Okay, one more time. Let's say he has side mount. I'm protecting my elbows, figuring 4 of my legs. You can use that technique even if he's blocking your neck. It will only cause you a little bit more of trouble to climb his back, but that's okay. Now I want to set him up. My right hand is grabbing his pants, and I will lie down my right leg. Watch. He will try to mount. That's when I am posting my left foot. I turn on my side a little bit. By using the left foot, I'm able to bump, to move my hip a little bit. That should be enough to slide underneath my right leg, hook his leg, and readjust my hips. That's what I want. But this time he's holding my neck. Okay, let's see what we need to do to climb his back then. Ideally, I don't want him to lock his hands. E apoia a perna lá, faz a base. That would be a headlock now. So I want to be faster than him and control this arm. I'll block right on the biceps. The other hand holding his back. And it will be very similar to what we did when he was not controlling the neck. We'll escape our hip a bit more. We'll use this arm as a post. Right after I post my left arm, I'll clear my head off. Watch. Note that my left leg is extended. But as I am posting my left elbow, I'll be also posting my left knee. That will really help me clearing off my head. Watch. Holding here, and let's go. Once on his back, balance, balance, try the second hook. Once you have both hooks in, underneath the arm, controlling the collar, so you can roll him to the side, you have a very good position for the choke. Hooks in, over the shoulder, and tight, close to the neck, grabbing with my thumb deep on the collar. I might need to feed, that's okay, my right hand's there to help. Right hand goes back to the collar, just to adjust. So pulling one collar down with my right hand, adjust the choke very much. Now watch my lefty elbow. I need to pull that back, extending my arms. I extend both arms as I arch my back. That should give me a very powerful choke. Let's study the mount escape with the headlock. Okay? Let's say someone has the mount on you, but he's also using the arm to control behind your neck. He can be grabbing his hands together, or he can be posting one arm. Doesn't matter, your escape will be the same. Okay? He's leaning a lot of weight on top of you. So that makes sense that you escape. You do something simple like following his weight instead of fighting against it. Okay, so let's go back there. Whenever someone mounts you, do your best to block his hip right away. You see my right elbow close to my stomach, pushing his hip low. That's because now when I bump, since he's sitting on top of my hip, my bump is powerful. Watch. If you allow people to sit on your chest, when you bump, it's not that powerful. You don't really get to move him off balance. So my right elbow is very important here. The other arm, I am doing my best to have my elbow touching the mats close to my ribs, and my left hand holds my own wrist. That's how I like to stay whenever someone mounts on me. This time he will grab my neck. See, he's leaning a lot of weight forward. It should not be too hard to escape. All I need to do now is to use this arm underneath his armpit, pushing his upper body. And at the other side, watch. My right foot will block his foot. See my right foot? I don't want him to post his foot for balance. And now, my right hand will go here and make sure his arm stays. I don't want him posting his left hand for balance. The escape should be easy as I bump towards my right shoulder. And I get the top position. Once you reach the top, spread your knees for balance, post and posture up. One more time. My elbows are already in place. He's grabbing my neck. One more detail I would like to share with you. This arm is driving. The other one is controlling. I hook his foot. Watch that my right foot does not stop working. I bump. Watch that my left foot will get off the mats, but my right foot stays. That's how you gain a lot of power on your bridge. Posture and balance here. Let's study the head cover punch block with the outside hook takedown. Okay, so I'm here on my ready stance. He throws a wide punch, head cover punch block, but as I am going for the clinch, he throws the second one. Let's break it down. So, to prepare my ready stance, strong leg, half step to the side, half step back, back hand covering, leading hand covering and measuring distance. Then he rushes into me and throws a wide punch. Okay, so when the first punch comes, head cover punch block. Make sure not to use your arm to block the punch. Okay, if you do so, if the punch is straight, might catch you. That's why you just tuck your jaw, you cover, but you keep your elbow between his nose and yours. So that should give you a very good protection. At the other side, don't drop your hand either. Keep covering your jaw. So I'm right here. as I am trying to wrap his arm with my elbow and to grab his elbow joint with my right hand to work on my clinch, he fires the second punch. But I was aware of this and I used the same type of block, the head cover punch block. Now, I'll not wrap the second arm. Since I am already over his arm with my left arm, I'll just get closer to him and reach to his back. And now it's the outside of the hook takedown. The best way to take that fight to the ground. It's one step closer. And the second step here. Note that when I made that second step with my right foot, I brought his head with me. Getting his head together with me made him really off balance. So when my second hook comes in, with my toes scratching the mats, you see I don't stop the motion. My hooks will not find too much resistance. He's already off balance. My hook is just finishing the takedown. I am pulling up his arm to help my partner breaking his fall. After that, it's knee on the belly. It's actually my shin. My toes are off the mats. It's a lot of weight on top of him. I'm pushing his arm away. I am controlling his neck. My right leg is up for balance. One more time. When you're here, remember the Jiu-Jitsu fighting strategy. You don't want to bend forward and exchange strikes with anybody. You want to posture up. You want to measure the distance. If they rush into you, that's the easiest person to clinch and take to the ground. Okay, so I'm here. He throws the first one. Block. As I am working on my clinch, the second punch comes. Block. And then I clinch. Now it's 1, 2. 1, 2, and I pull his head. He's really off balance. Then my hook. Lefty hand is on the neck. My goal here is to keep his back flat so he cannot escape. My right hand is pushing the wrist, pushing the arm. If he fires a punch with the other hand, should not be able to reach. So I have total control on the ground. Let's study the mount escape with the front choke. Okay, so let's say you are on the bottom, someone mounts on you. Always keep your arms in place. I like to sometimes bait the person on top for the choke. So if he comes, best opportunity to escape from the mount using the bridge. Okay? Elbow down, holding my wrist as he's climbing the mount. That's important. What it does, it keeps his hip on top of your hip. So when you bump, that is very powerful. Okay, so my left elbow is inside, touching my ribs. And what I like here sometimes is to release my wrist, pull that collar down and tuck my jaw, making sure he cannot slide his hand on this collar. I am baiting him. A lot of times he comes for the choke right away at the other side. That's what I want. Once he reaches to my collar, my right hand moves from the hip to his wrist. Don't hold the gi here. Feel his wrist. Pull his wrist down. Keep your chin protecting the other side of your neck. So your left hand releases the collar and grabs right behind his elbow and pull him down. One more step, my left leg is stepping outside his foot. If you have trouble finding his foot, use your left elbow to pull his knee down. That should really help. Now I keep my chin here, protecting my neck, and then I bump towards my left shoulder. Once you reach the top, spread your knees for balance. Remember, he still has that grip. It's important that you go over his arms. Reach for his collars. Raise your hip, chest forward, and look to the ceiling. That should not allow the hip to have that deep grip on your cross collar. One more time. Let's now learn how to deal with the situation where he did climb his knees on your armpit. So now what to do with your arms? Same thing as before. My right forearm comes across his belt. The other hand is trying to reach to my wrist. If I can't, I hold my hands together. The detail here is to push with my feet. As I move my shoulders and upper body side to side, watch. I should be able to slide out. Once he's that low, I should be able to reach my wrist, lock my elbows, and be at the position I like to defend myself at the mount situation. So now, my left hand is pulling my collar. I'm turning on my side, kind of offering him the collar. If he goes forward, he has to lean forward. Right hand on the wrist, left hand on the triceps, hook on his foot. Note that now when I bump towards my left shoulder, my left foot will not stop working. There's a moment where I raise my right foot, but not the left. And I get the top. Make sure to go over his arms. You see, he still has the grip. But my left hand over the arm. The other one high on the chest. I need to move forward with my chest, hips forward, and little by little, slide his hand down. Let's study a mount escape technique here called the elbows escape. Okay, so if someone has the mount on you, make sure to keep your elbows low, and then from here we go. All the way until we recover the full guard. Okay? Let's break it down. So, the first step is to keep your forearm pushing his hip down. Make sure to keep your elbow low. With the other arm, making sure to keep your elbow inside his leg, touching your body, and hold your own wrist. Okay? From here, he's posturing up, he's not attacking my neck, so that tells me to go for the elbow escape. The first step is to start pushing his leg down with my left elbow. So I let my grip go, start pushing the leg down. My right hand will also start pushing the leg down. So I'm focusing all my energy on pushing that one leg down. So that also makes sense to turn my body and start facing the leg, trying to push it down. After I have turned my body, if I can create that space, it's okay to use my hands now to push it down. Okay, that's when I should not have any problems sliding my left leg underneath. So my right leg is posting because it's with my right leg that I am able to bump, to turn, and my left leg is flat on the mats. So I can slide it underneath his leg. Once I pull my left leg out, I want to start facing him, so I have to switch sides with my hips, and I want to hook his leg in half guard. You see my left foot steps inside, and now I am getting ready to face him. He will put chest to chest, he will want to be heavy here. We are fighting in half guard now, no problem. Don't try to push his upper body away. All you need to do is to continue working underneath him. So you can have your hands ready to push his leg at the other side. Look. I am doing just what I did with the other leg. So it's my right elbow now and my left hand pushing that leg down. So right after I was done recovering half guard, he brought chest to chest. All I am doing is to go underneath him, so I can push the other leg now. Okay, so you see the entire time I'm working with my elbows down, my elbows tight. You will find times that this knee will be high. You need to do your best to use your elbow. Just when you have create enough room, you can start using your hands. I'm on my side, facing the leg, focusing on my energy on pushing the knee. No matter how heavy he is on top, for now I just care about pushing his leg, bringing my right knee inside. And for the next step, it's important to move my hips. Once more, watch, switching my hip sides, because that should help popping my right foot out to lock my close guard. Here I am safe. I have plenty of sweeps and submissions to try. One more time. Someone has the mounts, do your best to keep his hip low. Remember, if you find someone that high with the knees on your armpit, don't push his upper body. Your right forearm goes on the belt level. Hold your hands. And now working with your feet, push your upper body side to side. You should be able to slide up, and now when you have enough room, you hold your wrist. From here, let's go for the elbow escape. One is elbow on the leg, hand on the leg, focusing all my energy on that leg. Sliding my left leg down so I can bring it under. By bumping up, turning on my side, finding room to push his leg back to half guard. My left leg is out. As I shift my hips, I'll do a few things at the same time. I'll also shrink my elbows, turn, lock half guard, and have my hands ready to push his legs at the other side. So I can continue working, and now I must shift my hips once more, otherwise my foot gets stuck. When I escape my hip, my right foot pops out, and I lock. And now I can fight in close guard. Let's study how to escape from the front bear hug over the arms. Okay, the first step here is to avoid that the person locks your hip on his hip. Then you will be really off balance. Okay, so you have to have a quick reaction. You want to squat down and post your hands on his hips. Now if he tries to lock, that makes it impossible. No matter how strong he is, just because I'm not muscling at all. I'm locking my elbow on my hip, and it's the straight bone of my forearm separating his hip from my hip. So he's trying to lock, no matter how strong he is, it's not happening. From here, I'll go to the safe clinch. Continua segurando, tá? He will keep holding, so I don't have too much room. I'll take out my right hand, and he starts circling to the right direction. I still push his hip, continue pushing his hip with my left hand. And I'm fighting hard to get to his side and control his hip, which I did now. But he's still holding and squeezing, so my left arm is stuck. That's okay. From the underneath, I will control his arm. Safe clinch, my head is on his chest. He cannot throw headbutts. I'm controlling his arm. He cannot throw punches. I'm pulling his hip. No knee strikes, no kicks. From here, we go for the hip throw, okay? So, one. First step, your toes pointing to the direction you're gonna flip him. Now you need room to bring your right leg through. So move away from him a little bit and step through. Then you place your hips. You make that catch with your hips. The opposite would be to make with my leg. By placing my hips, I should not have problems lifting him at all. Now I rotate my upper body, pull his arm up just so he breaks his fall. Okay, and after that, knee in the belly to control him. It's actually my shin on his belly. Good posture, hips forward, controlling his neck, pushing his hand away, keeping my balance with my left leg. You will see very often the person on the bottom trying to push your knee away when you have a knee in the belly. That's when we use the spinning armbar submission. My right hand goes from the neck inside that space here and grabs his triceps. Then I pull his triceps to my chest. See how he had to turn on his side? That's when I step. Now I raise my heel and I place my knee on his ribs. The other hand now is getting ready to control his wrist. That's when I fall. Gira pra cá. And I will have the submission. Knees together, pulling his wrist down. One more time. Comes in for the bear hug, quick reaction. Push his hip away. If he pulls, no problem. He's not going further than your forearm. Do your best to get to the safe clinch and lock his arm right away. One might ask, what if he uses his left arm? I'm not controlling his left arm. The best he can do is to try a headlock. I take my head out and I should have his back. That's why the safe clinch is a good spot to be. Whatever he tries from here, I am getting into a better position than him. Hip throw, 1, 2, your hip underneath his belt level. Look over your left shoulder, rotate, pull up his arm, he'll break his fall. Knee in the belly, controlling the neck, good posture, good balance. He's trying to push my knee away. That's the opportunity I will have to take my grip out from the neck, inside, pulling the triceps. Pull his arm on your chest. As you step, go on your toes right away. Catch his wrist and go. Gira lá. Para aí. As you lay back, do your best to fall closer to his legs, rather than falling high, close to his head. The reason why I'm saying that is because on the arm locks that you bend your leg, you see my leg's not over. His upper body, it's here. If I fall too high, I might be helping him, sai pra lá de novo com o joelho, to escape. And I have to use my guard. Vira assim. I want to finish the fight from here. I don't want to give him a chance to escape. So, in the belly, controlling the neck. When he starts to push, I place my grip. I pull his arm on my chest. I step, grab the wrist, and now I fall as close to his legs as I can. Watch. Bending the leg, depending on what he's trying, extending. Most times bending, knees together. Slowly pull the wrist down. Thumb up, you should be good. Okay, let's study the bear hug, the front bear hug over the arms. But this time, we are doing a different submission than we did on the week 4B. Okay, so this time my partner comes in with the bear hug. I'll go for the escape. And this time when I have a knee in the belly here, I'll go for the front choke. Okay, something we truly believe in Gracie Barra is that if we work self-defense techniques with sport techniques, we get better. So we just did a self-defense escape, but now on the ground, we'll practice sport submission. In tournaments, when you have knee in the belly, you score 2 points. You see, that's also a great control in self-defense. I'm controlling my partner here on the ground. He should not be able to punch, have good balance here. That's why in competition, 2 points for that. Because in a self-defense situation, you would be showing a very good control. For sports here, you can go for the front choke. You open one collar and feed 4 fingers deep inside. At the other side, you go over with your thumb inside. Time to go for the choke. You must sprawl back and do it. Okay, so when you have it in the belly and go for a choke, make sure to sprawl back. If you don't, when you lean down, they throw you that way. Look. I completely lost my balance and now I am on the bottom. I would not have the choke anymore. That's why you have it in the belly. You place your grips for the choke. When it's time to put pressure, you sprawl back. If you wanna, keep your knees down so you don't put too much weight on your partner. That's fine too. As you bring your chest into the choke, make sure to keep your elbows touching your ribs. And my hips are low, so he cannot throw me that way. In the belly, now it's time for the choke. You open the collar, 4 fingers in, hide your thumb as deep as you can behind the collar. The entire time these hands should be making a fist. You should not allow your hand to bend this way. Now I'll come with my thumb over, as deep as I can also. Then I sprawl back, either that or you can be on your knees and bring your whole body into the choke. Let's study now mount from the top. We'll study the arm lock submission. Establish the mount. If I can, I want to have my knees high on his armpit. And let's say now he reaches. It could be a choke, it could be a punch, anything. So he's giving me the arm. I'll go for it. And have the submission. When you have the mount, if it's a self-defense situation, you have lots of control. If it's a sports situation, you score 4 points. And you might find someone making a mistake on the bottom. He should not be reaching. You see, he's trying to choke. It could be a punch. If for any reason he wants to push. Okay? So these arm locks are a matter of opportunity. Now, if you grab his arms and start trying to adjust, he might see something's going wrong there and he will pull the arm back. You don't have it. So the person is pushing. That's okay, you just post on his chest for balance. When you post here, he might push even more. You see how so he will really try to give you the arm. By now, I already chose which arm to attack. You see, when I post on the chest and my hand go over the arm, I made a choice. If I wanted to work on this one, I would have to post over this way. Okay, so I chose to do the submission here and push in the chest. He's just pushing even more. I'll post up my opposite leg at first. That's very important. Okay, so now by putting weight on his chest and on my leg, I should have no problems swinging my left leg over his head. See, so I can do just one big step. Put my weight here and on my right foot, stepping over and sitting back. When I sit back, my hips close to his upper body. I lock my knees together, and then this leg will bend sometimes, this leg will extend sometimes. It really changes depending on how he's trying to escape. So just keep it extended and heavy on his neck for now. Knees together, grab the wrist. Just at the very end, you sit back, and then as you're laying back, you grab the wrist. Your legs are controlling the arm. That should be enough. Grab the wrist, lay back. Slowly pull his wrist down. The submission is right behind his elbow joint. Should not allow him to turn his thumb down. That's loose. You turn his wrist, thumb up. The more experience you get, when you see the arms there, you pick one arm to attack, post on the chest. You almost stand up both legs at the same time. When you put your weight on his chest, you do this. 1, 2. The opposite leg goes a little bit sooner. And then you swing the other one. Grabbing the wrist, knees together. Pull down slowly. You should have the submission. Let's study the mount from the top. We will study the key lock submission. Okay? Let's say you have the mount. You will slide your knees up on his armpit. And this time, he does this with his arms, hoping to protect his neck from chokes. If it's a self-defense situation, he might do this, trying to protect his face from possible strikes you might try. Whenever you have his arms at those positions, great opportunity for what we call the key lock submission. It hurts right on his shoulder. Okay, so if he's protecting from strikes, you can just pick a side to go. If he's trying to protect the choke, you should attack whatever arm he has above. You see, his right arm is above. So my knees are high. It's time to get a cross grip on his wrist and push his wrist down to the floor. But if I bend my arm, we start fighting arm against arm. As always in Jiu-Jitsu, you try to build more leverage, you bring your whole body into the technique. So extending my arm, posturing up, it's now my body weight dropping on his arm. Let's get some extra help with the second grip on the elbow. So, taking in consideration the surprise, plus all the leverage I'm building, I should be able to drive his arm down even if he's very strong. Okay, once here, little thing that is a very important detail is my thumb being over his wrist. That because when I drop my elbow down, if my thumb is below his wrist, a very strong person should be able to extend the arm. But with my thumb over, I get some extra power. Okay, now the other hand will get underneath his triceps. Some people would turn the hands and get under like that. I just keep my hands this way and I get under. And again, my thumb go over my wrist. Right now, since I am leaning forward, I want to get some extra balance on my elbows, but also spreading my knees and my legs. Okay? The submission here happens when I pull his hand down. I slide his hand down this way, but I make sure it stays on the mat. And I raise my left elbow. Look. Keep in mind, you might encounter some very strong arms. So, extra help comes with my forehead on top of my left hand. One more time. If he's protecting the neck, I must go to the top arm. See it? The surprise when I go fast, plus my body weight, extending my arms, should be able to catch his arm. Dropping my elbow, thumb over. Getting underneath his triceps, holding my own wrist, forehead on my hand. The reason why I told you to spread your knees is because he might try to bridge that way. Oh my God. I post. Watch my left leg posting. My left knee opening. Forehead on my own hand. The submission is right there. Let's study some basic strikes and the body lock clinch and the body lock takedown. Okay? My partner will just stand here with his feet parallel and post his hands so I can practice. The first step is learning how to prepare your ready stance. Okay, you pick your strong leg and you make a half step to the side and a half step back. And you keep your feet always at the same distance. If you move back, you adjust. If you move forward, you adjust. If you move to the sides, you adjust your stance. Okay, and then you turn your upper body sideways a little bit. With the back hand, you cover. With the leading hand, you cover, but you will also be measuring the distance sometimes. That's because the Jiu-Jitsu strategy here is not to exchange strikes with anybody, so I don't want to be at the distance that he can punch and or kick. So I want to make a little step back, posture up a bit more, keeping my back straight, and with this hand, I make sure that I am always at the distance I want to be. So if I feel like I am at the distance of the striker, I will either step back or step in for the clinch. Okay, so that's your ready stance to apply the Jiu-Jitsu strategy, standing up here. Okay, so after that, we'll practice some basic strikes with our hands. So with the leading hand, we throw one. Then with the back hand, we throw two. Okay, so tuck your chin, cover, lock your hands. When you go for the punch, you make sure to turn your upper body, turn your hips so you gain more power. Okay? And the other side, same thing. Put your hip, put your upper body behind the punch so you gain more power. Our strikes here will be almost always on a straight line. We want to strike just enough to set up our clinch and take the fight to the ground. Same strategy for our kicks. One of the kicks we use the most, standing up, is the push kick with the leading leg. That's not so much to knock him out, but it will be most times either to set up my clinch or to create distance between us. So if I feel like now he's at the distance of the striker, I can anytime push kick and push him away. Note that when I kick, I bring my leg back. You will not want to kick and leave your leg there so they can kick your leg. Okay, so the first drill is preparing my ready stance. 1, 2, measuring distance, push kick. Once you get that, you start working on your clinch and body lock takedown. So, to go inside for the clinch, you want to change levels. You squat down with your hips, keep your back straight, keep your eye on him. That's very important. Okay, and then with the leading hand, you make a shield, keep your eye on him. Continue covering here until you're that close. Just then, you lock his hips. For now, you can just use fingers together, lock your elbows. Okay, that grip will work fine. To get him off balance, I'll start pulling his hip and driving my head forward. Note that my head is up, my ear is on his chest. The opposite is to looking down and having your head here. You're giving chances for them to grab your neck. It's right here. He's off balance. That might not be enough to throw him. I need to get some work done with my legs. Let's go for the inside trip. 1, 2, I get that deep. My hip is on his hip, and then I will make the trip. It's a hook with my leg. And this time I am pulling his weight down and driving forward. Note that I post, don't want to land on top of my partner's chest. I recover my balance on my knees, and I posture up. Knees wide spread for balance, posturing up so I can defend my neck and my arms if he attacks. Okay? One more time. I'll have my partner with feet parallel, hands up, preparing my ready stance. My strong leg steps back, covering, measuring his distance. 1, 2, strikes on a straight line, leading leg, push kick. 1, 2, measuring distance. When I drop, I keep my shield here. I keep my eye on him. The leading leg will step in between his legs and lock his hip. I start pulling his hip in and driving forward. He is off balance, but I will make 1, 2, step deeper for the hook. Okay, at that point, start pulling his weight down. As you drive forward, post, posture up right away, spread your knees for balance, and keep your head up and arch your back. Let's study basic strikes with the body lock clinch and the body lock takedown. But this time, the takedown will be different than the one we did on week 6, class B. Okay, so we are here on our ready stance, and then I am working on my strikes and my way into the body lock clinch that will be followed by the body lock takedown. Okay, this time we are not working on the inside trip, but on the outside trip. You see the trip here is my right knee behind his knee. That's the trip. Got him off balance, drove forward, and now the takedown. And I establish my side mount control. It is very important when you have the body lock takedown to walk to the opposite side of your head. Now when you block his knee and drive forward, you will be able to use his body as cushion. You're not falling with your head on the ground or anything. If you go to the opposite side and try to do the same takedown, look, you might hit your head on the ground. From here, opposite side of my head, I am still pulling his hip in. I'm driving forward with my head, block his knee, and then I drive. Side mount control here. One more, a very important detail is, once you have the throw, he's off balance, you cannot land on your partner's chest. So with this leg, you will step back. With your hands, you will post. After that, you readjust your side mount control. Look, he's off balance. I'll step back and post my hands. Watch. He did break his fall, no problems. Now he's protecting himself. Then I establish chest to chest, hug, and block the legs. Let's study the mount from the top. We'll be working on the front choke. We'll have the mount, trying to have our knees high on his armpit. From here, let's work on the choke. Even if he's protecting the neck, you still should be able to perform that submission, okay? Pull out the collar. Bring your hand as a knife, 4 fingers in. And from here we go. Underneath everything, all his defense. You should go underneath his arms, grab the collar and pull up. No problem that he's blocking the neck. That should not stop your chokes, okay? That's not the proper way to defend anyways. Pull it up. If you open the thumb, you get yourself stuck. Hide and go as a knife. Underneath everything, that first grip, you should make sure it goes as deep as possible. Your thumb is outside the collar, but when I say deep, I mean behind his neck. Now the challenge is, my arm is busy grabbing the collar. I have to have good balance. Remember, people will be bumping, will be pushing you away, so you kind of relax your upper body. Allow your knees to separate sometimes from his body. Sometimes you will want to lock, sometimes you will want to keep more balance. And this hand here should really help you. Second grip as a knife underneath everything on the first opportunity you have, as deep as possible. Last detail here, and very important, your head will follow the hand on top. You see my left arm's on top. My head is following that. That's when I drop with hold my body weight on the choke. Okay, so when you have your grips there, another challenge is making a fist. It takes a lot of practice to have a good choke. That's because as you are putting the pressure there, you need to make a fist and rotate your wrist inside. The blade of your forearms should be in touch with his arteries. Once you practice enough to get the pressure on the right spot, that submission is very powerful. Watch. Now watch that as I start putting pressure, the blade of my forearms is on the artery. You will see very often people practicing, the arm's not there, and then you squeeze, 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 you never get the submission. That's a very technical submission, the front choke. The wrist right there. Then the whole pressure of your body weight comes. And the balance you're getting is from leaning your forehead to the proper direction, which is towards your top hand. And after that, allowing yourself to pulse your feet if you need, pulse your knees if you need. And then you should have the submission. Let's study. Mount from the top. We're working on attacking the back with the rear naked choke. Okay? There will be times you will have the mount position here. The person on the bottom will panic and will want to turn his back. He wants to post his hands, his feet, and stand up. So that's what we will do. Hooks in. I am just securing the position. Rolling him to the side. I just brought him to a better position than I can. Work on my submission. When you get more experience and you have the top, you notice the person on the bottom is trying to give you the back. And it would be a mistake trying to stop him from doing that, because what you get more often than not is that he tries to turn. You want to hold, 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 hold. You end up falling to the bottom. The right thing to do is to give him space, allow him to spend more energy, and then after he turns, he will end up on an even worse position, or just as bad as being on the bottom at the mount. So I'm here, good mount position. He starts turning. I open my knees. See, I allowed him to do it. I post my hands. Like I said, with my experience, I see that all he's trying is to turn his back. So I'll let him do it. He turns. Before he stands up, he needs to come to his force. That's where my hooks come in. 1, 2. It's just my feet inside his legs. It would be a mistake to be here trying to work on the choke without securing the position with my hooks. More often than not, people throw you fall. You end up on the bottom now. So once someone turns his back to you, it's 1, 2. You put the hooks. You can use both hands to secure the position, or post one. The other one is enough underneath his arm, securing the position. Then you roll to the side. From here, it's even harder for him to escape. See, I just have a bear hug, fingers together underneath his arms, hooks in. The next step is the submission. Okay, once here, to apply the rear naked choke, one of my hands comes out. I like to go with my fingers real tight underneath his jaw, just in case he tries to stop my choke. I go tight, 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 and I hold his neck. I am not aiming to put pressure on his throat. So if I have my forearm against the throat, that's not the best choke. All the way deep, it's on the arteries. At one side, my biceps got his artery. At the other side, my forearm got it. You see, even if I start squeezing here, I would have an okay choke. But remember, people are fighting back. We want to build as more leverage as possible, more pressure as possible on that choke. So, my lefty hand grabbing my biceps. Then I go behind his neck. Now the pressure is, move as if you want to close your elbows together. That's first. I want to touch my elbows together. Just then, I squeeze by pushing my right hand forward behind his neck and pulling my left forearm back. That has so much pressure. One more time, from the beginning. You have them out. Do your best to have your knees high on his armpit. You're either posturing up or pulsing your hands. Now he will panic and make a big mistake. You let him do it. Give him all the space and place your hooks right away. My hooks are just my feet inside his legs. Tell your partner to be in turtle position. That means elbows not too far from his knees. This way he can carry your weight as you practice with no problem. Post, grab, roll him to the side. Keep your chest on his back, keep your hooks, make the bear hug, he can't escape. After that, rear naked choke. One arm over the shoulder, tight on the neck, as deep as I can, meaning that my elbow came deep to the center of his neck. My lefty hand grabbing my biceps. If you don't want to give him the opportunity to hold your arms, you see now he stops your choke, you can do this. Bend from here and go. One straight shot. That works very well too. Elbows together, and now squeeze.